everyone, it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets and welcome to Make a Card Monday. So today's card is going to be made using MFT's Spring Wreath stamp set. Now I believe this stamp set is retired, so if you don't have it, you can just pick a different stamp set in your stash that has smaller images that would easily be able to create a wreath. The next supply that you're going to need is some cardstock. My cardstock is the 65-pound Recollections cardstock that comes in packs of 50 or 100 at Michael's, and it's cut down to 4x4. I placed it in my MISTI that already has the Wreath Builder tool in there. So just a little side note about the Wreath Builder tool, I am going to be doing a tutorial on how to create one using the Cricut. I may also create one with my dies if I can find the right size ones. Okay, so now back to the project. I am using the MFT Spearmint ink to ink up the image that I chose. I put it onto the paper and then closed the MISTI door and then inked up the image. Since the MFT Spearmint ink is a very, very light color ink, I am going to be stamping the image twice. Now, one of the many great things about the MISTI is the ability to get perfect stamping. If your image doesn't stamp properly the first time, you can stamp it again in the exact same spot and it will fill in the spots that you missed. Or if, like in this case, your color is very light when you stamp it, it's very easy to stamp it a second time to create a darker color that you want. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm just going to go around. Now, after I stamp the image twice, I'm going to turn the paper one turn. Now, if I wanted to do different colors, every other one, alternating colors, then what I would do is I would skip and do 2 turns after I did the first image, and that would leave me in a space so that I could go back and on the turns that I skipped, stamp it again, but in a second color. And that way you can have kind of like a rainbow and every other alternating color image around each turn. So if you didn't want to do that and you want to do what I do and just do one color, then this is what you're going to do is every turn. So while I'm doing this, because I'm not going to speed this up, and I know this is a little bit boring to watch because it's repetitive, but I just wanted you guys to see how to stamp all around. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what this card is for. So on Sunday, Courtney Krieber did a live video on Facebook, and she talked about some of the things that are coming for 2020. And one of them is she's doing a card drive each month for a different organization and sending those cards to them. So this one is, I believe it's either an assisted living home or a nursing home where her aunt is. And those places have a special place in my heart because my gram was in one for a couple of years before she passed away. So that means a lot to me that people that are older who may not have family that come visit them are still getting cards and things even if they don't get visitors. So to me that was super important when she said that was the first place. I knew that I wanted to make cards, and I also think that I'm going to have the girls make cards because they love making things, and I think that it would probably brighten somebody's day to see a handmade card from a child because you know that they put love and time into that. So anyway, the next flower that I did is going to be stamped in Hero Arts Soft Cantaloupe. Now this is an orangey color, but when you stamp it, it looks a little bit more pink. So we're going to go around and do the next layer up with this pink. So again, I think I only did one stamp for this one. Some of them I did 2, I think, just because I probably didn't stamp it perfectly. And now the homemade wreath builder, let's talk a little bit about that. So as I said before, I'm going to be doing a video showing how I make that. But when you make anything homemade, just like when you make cards, nothing is perfect. So if you were going to be doing this, using this to do stamp layering, like the video that I did on the light bulbs, it's probably better to use one that was created by like a business, the Gina K one, something like that, because this one is not perfect. So if you're going to be layering up your stamped images, it it probably won't line up exactly. So if you're looking for perfection, this is probably not the thing to do. But if you're looking to save money and do something that works pretty much just as well, this is definitely the thing for you. I wanted to do a homemade one first because I wanted to see if I really would use it. And I have been using this one. Surprisingly, it's probably one of my most used tools in the craft room. I've never done images like this. I've only done one type of image. Like I did a leaf and created a wreath out of it for some Christmas cards before, and then I did the light bulbs. And even though the light bulbs had several pieces to them, they still were one item going all around. This is the first time that I've ever mixed different images to create the actual wreath. So this is something that was a little bit different for me, but I really like the way that it came out. So I'm still working on that soft cantaloupe layer, and it does take a little while to create the whole thing. So next I am going on to the next stamped image, and I'm going to be using the Simon Says Stamp Audrey Blue to stamp this final image. So now I picked it up with the Misty and did the same thing. And since the Audrey Blue is a little bit darker, I only did these stamps once. And I tried not to press too hard because on the original one that I did, the harder I pressed, the more the image actually spread, and it didn't really look like a flower. It actually looked more like a pig hoof when you did it, so it didn't look really good. So I just tried to do that pretty quickly and just do one stamp the whole time around. So I think that it came out really nice. It dried back a lot softer, so the cantaloupe ink actually looked more pink than orange on the final stamped product, and that's what I wanted it to look like. So again, every turn going around and stamping that. So when I did the first layer, this second ring, because it was on an outer ring, I did every turn with the soft cantaloupe, but there was more room in between them than there was in the first one because one, it was a bigger image, and two, it was further out. So the further out you put the image, the more distance you're gonna have. Even if you do every turn, the more distance you're gonna have between the stamps. So if you do a large image and then a smaller image, you can do that the further you put the stamp out, if that makes any sense. So the rings that are closest to the center, the images will be closer together, and then the further out you go, the further the images will be placed apart, so you can actually put an additional image in between the two images. Sometimes you can probably even put two. So now I'm done with those layers, and I'm going to, I think I'm going to show you guys this. Nope, I am getting ready to put the inside image in there. The first one, I actually stamped the image first and created a wreath around it, but what I realized is I did not center it very well. So on this one, I decided to wait until after the image was done, and the sentiment does overlap the image just a little bit, but that's okay. The sentiment that I chose from the Spring Wreath MFT stamp set says, "Have a beautiful day." So I thought that was appropriate for anybody in the assisted or nursing home, because it's always nice to get something just saying, "Have a nice day, have a beautiful day." Some of the other sentiments that they said that they were looking for: sending smiles, sending sunshine, hugs, things like that. So any encouraging or just thinking of you, sweet, nice cards are what they're looking for. So this is the card front, and I wasn't sure how I was actually going to finish it because it's a white piece and then it's on a white card base. So I kind of went back and forth with trying to figure out what to do with it. So now I'm going to take the card base, because I already had a piece of cardstock cut down to 8.5 by 11. So I scored it at 4 1/4 to make it a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch A2 size card. Now I'm just using my bone folder to do the crease in it, and that was a Martha Stewart scoreboard that I used. And here I'm placing the piece on top of it, and I realized that it looked too plain, and I'm trying to figure out what to do because I wanted to have something on the back, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. It looked nice like that, but I thought it looked a little bit too plain, and again, still trying to figure out what to do. When I cut the piece of cardstock down, I actually cut it down and had a little piece left over. So that's what I'm going to get. And I got the Simon Says Stamp Audrey Blue out again with a blending brush. Now these are the makeup brushes that I bought off of Amazon, which were completely inexpensive. I bought 2 sets, and for the bigger brushes, I like this set better. And this is the Yosang brush. The other ones are the Duramy brushes, and they are fantastic. I love them. Now, if you look at my hands, you're gonna laugh because that is a piece of washi tape. I'm putting the washi tape on my fingers to, 1, so I don't get fingerprints on there, but 2, to keep my fingers clean. I learned that tip from Christina Warner, and I think it's fantastic. So I'm just using some of the Audrey Blue to color up the back of a piece of white cardstock that it's the same length as, same width as the piece of card front that I did. So it's 4 1/4, and I'm going to cut it down to 3/4 of an inch. That's splitting it in half. And then I'm going to use my ATG gun to adhere it to the back of the piece that we just created. Now, you guys are gonna laugh when you see this. The ATG gun was not working for me whatsoever. The tape wasn't coming off the front, and I had to keep pulling it off. It wouldn't stick to the cardstock, and I don't know if it was the ink, because once I did the back of the card, it worked fine. So I don't know what the heck the problem was. I was just trying to figure out how much I wanted underneath of it. I didn't measure, I just eyeballed and just did the best to make it work. I'm not big on measuring things. I'm just more of a let's eyeball it and see how it works. So here you go. I'm going to put the ATG tape on and put the card base on, and it's not sticking. I can't figure out why, and I was a little frustrated because I'm pushing it down and it's not sticking, and here's where I don't realize that the tape never transferred and it's still on the ATG gun. I don't know what the heck the ATG gun's problem was tonight. I really usually don't have a problem with it, but tonight this one was just giving me hell. So I'm going to try it a couple times, and I just keep pulling the tape off of it. I probably should have taken this out, but I also like to leave things in and it to be realistic. And, I did turn the camera off at some point when I was trying to fix it. There you go. You'll see me turn the camera off, and then I'm going to try to fix it. I fixed it, and then it kind of didn't work again. So, again, I was having trouble with the ATG gun tonight. It just was not my night. ATG gun won. So I put that side down, and then I had to do the other side. And again, I did not measure anything. What I was looking for there was the cut line, because there was a little bit of a jagged edge. So I wanted to have the jagged edge underneath the piece of cardstock rather than it being outside and visible. So again, I was having major issues with this tape. I don't know what the heck was going on. So I apologize for that. I should have cut a little bit more of that out of there. I should have turned the camera off when it happened again. But again, I like to keep it realistic, and I like you guys to see how to fix things if anything does happen. So I'll leave that in there. And I was just trying to put the tape back together. It just becomes almost like a little glue booger. I don't know any other way to describe it, but it does. It just doesn't want to stick to anything. So I don't know what this thing's problem was tonight. So I pulled off another string. I wasted so much tape tonight because it just was not my night with this thing. I think here is when I finally get it to stick down, and then I can finally glue the piece together. Like I said, again, no measuring, just kind of eyeballing it. It's not exactly straight. I'm looking at the card right now, and one side is a little bit thicker than the other, but it is what it is. Again, it's handmade, so I'm just placing it on the front just to see how it's going to look. And I like the simplicity. This is probably one of the cleaner card designs that I do. Usually I like to have lots of color on it and not there to be, I don't really like a lot of white space. I have problems with making my cards like that. I love when other people do it. I just have a very difficult time doing it. So but you can see here the ATG is working perfectly on the back of the card, so I don't know what it was about that piece of cardstock. It just did not want to stick. So I'm going to place the piece on the front of it, and then I'm going to show you the card, and that's it. That's all I did. I didn't put anything on the inside. I am going to ask Courtney, you know, what she wants us to do, if she wants us to leave them blank, but that's it. So the inside's blank for right now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below. And I will see you guys again real soon for another video. Bye!